Budget, this is some ways to actually get it set up, is reviewing your spending habits of what you've already done. So let's say you decide today, I'm going to set up a budget. I'm going to start at February 1st, which is next Saturday, this coming Saturday, all right? So you go back and you look at all your spending habits for the last few months. And if you have, if you use your debit card, not paid cash, you're going to have receipts on your statement showing what all those expenditures are. You can download it from the internet from your bank if it's an online bank. How many of you have checking accounts you write checks on? I don't think anybody you write checks still. Okay, you have a list of all your checks. If you pay cash, it's hard to keep track of what you're spending. But we'll show you if you take that cash, that receipt, and you hold on to it and you mark down what you spent it on. Obviously, if it says McDonald's, you probably spent it on food. Starbucks, you spend it on drink, things like that. If it's a movie ticket, you'll use that to type into your budget the amount that you spent is what you spent on those entertainment items. But I do most everything on credit card. Number one, I get miles, finger flyer miles. Number two, I get, depending on when I charge it, I get 60 days to pay it. And so, and everything's on that credit card, all the expenditures. And there's protections with credit cards for fraud and all that. Okay, so you're going to write down all your expenses. You're going to write down all your sources of income. Now, the sources of income is everything that you get, whether it's an allowance, if you're still getting allowance from your parents, whether it's money you can get from them, whether it's school loans, whether it's a part-time job, whatever you're getting, whether your grandparents are sending you money, all that is source of income that's coming in. You're going to track all that, and we're going to set up a budget for that. And then hopefully those items that are coming in are not just one-time items, because if they're one-time items, you're not going to put them in every month from month to month, because you're only going to give them that one time. And then you subtract your expenses from your income. That's obvious. It tells you how much you overspent or underspent. And then you make adjustments and then track your progress. Here's a spreadsheet. Okay. It started in June because they were looking off of I don't know why they started in June. They think they were thinking of a school year, but school year is August to July. You can start it any way you want it. You make that February. These are templated. I'll send this to you. It's just an Excel spreadsheet. As you can see, the bottom numbers, the bottom four numbers are in there already, and they're hard coding those. You just change anything you want to expend it on. So the first thing you do is put your income in the top. Okay? You're going to say all your sources of income, and you're going to have a bottom number in the expenditure on line, income subtotal on line 10. That's going to show you your monthly income, what you're going to be able to spend. Then you're going to want to put all your expenditures in, starting with your fixed costs, because those you can't control. You're going to put in your flexible costs, the ones that you still have to spend to live day to day, but they fluctuate. You're going to try to put an average. And then when you get down to the discretionary items, that's where believe this bottom four, the monthly expense adjuster, you can decide eating and snacks, entertainment, miscellaneous, savings. Okay? To me, that savings goal, you can adjust all four of those and they'll adjust in the spreadsheet for you. Okay? Fill it out. Right now, this person's spending $3,335. This guy's in the hole. They don't have any income in this one. That's the way my budget used to look like before I got a job. I mean, there's always money going out, never coming in. So, and that's what will happen. If you have a bump in the road, lose a job, money you're expecting to come in doesn't come in, you're going to have to zero that out and see what affects your budget. And the only thing you can change are your discretionary expenses, those ones we talked about that you control the expenditure on. So just be careful on that, all right? So you fill this budget out and you start monitoring it, okay? Here's a monthly tracker. Now, as you can see, the expenditures are already in the difference column. They're already in. So when you put your actual expenses, the formulas are set up to look at that to the budget page, and it'll pull your differences in, okay? You're going to want to see where you're spending more, spending less than what your budget is, and on the individual items, okay? And you can monitor that on a monthly basis, and I would suggest you do it on a monthly basis for that reason. You can see where I have extra money, I can maybe save more, or I can spend more. But you should always talk about pay yourself first, and I'll have a slide in here that talks about that in more detail, is, like I said, write that check to yourself first. I call write it to check, but pay yourself first. Put money in your savings. If you have a part-time job and you're able to split between your debit account, your checking account, and your savings account, ask your employer to do that for you. They'll send you a wire transfer to pay you, and they'll put some in your checking, some in your savings. They'll automatically split it. A lot of employers do that for you already. That's a perfect example. You don't have to worry about it. You get your net check, and if you don't look at that savings line, you just look at that checking account, and you're set. You just spend that money, and your savings is already there. You don't have to transfer from one to the other. Again, buying stuff on credit. Credit cards, 18, 24% interest rate. Very rare do you get a 10 to 12% interest rate. If you do, keep that card forever if it stays that low, because interest rates aren't that cheap anymore with credit cards. So let's say you buy something with $500 on your credit card. This gives you an idea of what's going to cost you if you don't pay it off. At 18%, and you pay the minimum payment of $10 a month, you'll end up paying $431 in interest on that. In addition to the $500, so you're at $931 that you paid. You almost doubled your cost of whatever you bought. And by paying the minimum payment, it'll take you 7 years and 9 months to pay it off. That's outrageous. To me, that's robbery by the credit card industry. But that's how they do it, and they get away with it. I can't fathom that. It'll take you longer to pay off almost a house or something on a credit card if you charge enough than it would a house. And houses are 30-year mortgages. And there's some, change those numbers enough and you're going to be 30 years before you pay it off. It's just crazy. So you always want to pay your credit card balances off each month. Okay? Nothing wrong with having credit cards. It's credit. It's somebody else's money. If you can live off of somebody else's money and able to pay it back and not be charged too much of an interest, great. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. I use the bank's money. Like I said, my credit cards, this is how anal I am. I have a list of all my credit cards, and the last day that the statement ends, so I go charge on that credit card the next day if I need to buy something. And I'll wait to purchase something. I've got to buy 2 new printers at home, a color printer for my photos and a LaserJet printer. I've got to buy 2 new printers. I'm waiting till my statement ends, and then I'm going to charge on that credit card the day after it ends. So then I don't get a statement for 30 more days. They bill me in 30 days, and then I've got 30 days to pay it. So I'm using their money for 60 days. Just the way I do my business. It's not hard to do. Just be disciplined, okay? Know your statement end date. And it's on your statement, it's on your bill. You get a statement, it'll tell you your statement ended, 19th. Like my Discover card, it's the 19th of the month, 18th and 19th. I just go buy it on the 20th. It's just the way I do business. Okay? I know, see? All right, so that's buying stuff on credit. All right, credit scores. How many of you know what your credit score is? A few of you? Okay. Good to know. Check it annually. It's free. You probably don't have a need for credit scores right now, but you might want to monitor it. Just keep watching it. And there's ways to build the credit. There's ways to kill it. You never want to kill your credit because it's hard to build up. But when you apply for credit, lenders want to know your credit risk level. The lower your credit score, the more risky you are as a debtor to them. They're going to give you loans with higher interest rates. That's just what they do. You have the best credit, and you'll get the best interest rates they offer. How many of you can go buy a car right now with 0% interest? You can buy a car with 0% interest? Your credit that good? You don't know? All right. If they're not offering a special program, and when they do, you say it's on approved credit, OAC, okay? They always say, come buy this car, 0% interest for 3 years on OAC, on approved credit. So if you don't have the right credit score, you won't get that 0%. So you just got to keep your credit score good. Credit scores are numbers that summarizes your risk. Lenders and other entities purchase access to these scores, and they're based on your credit report. Okay? Here's where you want to stay away from. Anything that's average and below. Even good's not that good anymore. You want to be 720 and above. If you've paid every bill on time, you don't have too much in debt as far as credit cards, you'll have a decent credit score, and you just slowly build up over time. My credit score, I haven't checked it in a while, but the last time I looked, it was in the 750 range. I think the highest is 880, 860, something like that. I just went through a short sale on my house where the bank forgave some of my debt because I lost my job. So that lowered my credit score down to 720. And so even though I had a higher one, I still, even with a short sale, which is not a very good idea, it's almost like a foreclosure, I still had a 720 score, an excellent score. So that's how high my score was prior to that. So I'm slowly building it back up. I think it's 740, 750 now or something like that. So things that'll drop it, too many credit cards, okay? If you have too many credit cards because it looks at different rates, even if you don't use them, they're just because they're what's called open credit, you'll get dinged. If you close those credit cards, you get dinged. So don't open them. Only open the ones you need. Part of my credit score got hit because I had those 20 credit cards open. I never used them, but I had them open, and then I just let them expire. I never really closed them. I just let the cards show up and they expire. I just put them in a drawer and they just sit there. And then they send me every 2 or 3 years. They send me a new one. I never touch them. I just never activate them. I just put them in a drawer. How do you get access to your credit report? Not your score, because your score is not something that you usually get. But there's a way to get access to your credit report. Okay. You go to the 3 major credit bureaus. Those are the 3: Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. They're the 3 major credit reporting agencies. You'll go to visit annualcreditreport.com, and for once a year, you can get your credit report. Don't go to Free Credit Score. Don't go any of those because you have to sign up for their services and it costs you money. This is a free report, and it just talks about your credit. You can see whether anybody's reported any unsatisfactory or late payments on your card. You can dispute those. You contact the vendor and say, hey, I never paid late on a card. What are you talking about? They'll write a letter and correct it. There's a lot of things you do. And avoid credit monitoring services. There's no reason to have a credit monitoring service. You can do it yourself. You don't have to pay for it. Okay? You hear these commercials about LifeLock. You hear the commercials about those things. Those are fine for identity theft. They help, but if you control everything you've done, it's hard to steal your identity. If you shred every document that has a Social Security and your address on it, that's what I do when I get my bills and payments at home. Anything that comes in the mail at my house, if it's got my name and address on it, I don't care if it's junk mail. I don't just throw it in the trash. It's shredded. So my shredder gets burned out every year because of all the junk mail I get. Okay, I just shred it. Any of the bills I pay, if I don't need the receipt for tax purposes, it's shredded. Okay. I try to keep all my credit card statements because if I have to dispute something later on, but things like that, just invest in a shredder, 25, 30 bucks. If you budget it right, you'll be okay. You won't have to expend your budget, okay? And just plan on shredding it. Or you can even take it to a shredding. Don't burn it because you've got burn laws here in Fresno. You know, you can't burn your stuff, but shred it, all right? And get one of those shredders it's a cross-cut shredder as opposed to the long, thin ones because they can tape those back together. I mean, believe me, if a thief wants to get access to your information, they're going to get it. So just check your score, monitor your own credit. But if there is identity theft, you got a long risk history to get that fixed. Somebody in my office has that problem right now. Somebody got their mail. The old mailboxes where they had the mailbox in front of their house, now they all have a locked unit and you have to go get it. So she has one of the older houses that had that problem. So it's hard to fix your credit once somebody steals your identity. It's really tough. Here's some components. I won't get into the details, but it's payment history, amounts owed, length of history, new credit, and types of credit used. When you go get a car loan or apply for any kind of loan that takes your Social Security number, they're going to check your credit. Okay? Too many of those attempts, and they start locking down your credit points at a time. So if you really want to find out your credit score, you go to and if you've only done it once, okay, if you haven't done it yet, and you don't know what your credit score is, go to a car dealer and act like you're going to buy a car. Let them run your credit. Hey, by the way, what's my score? And then say, you know what, I don't need a car. Head out. You got a free credit report, a free credit score, and then it won't ding your credit if you only do it one time. But if you do it every month or every year, you can probably get away with it every year. If you do it every month, you're going to hit your credit, and they're going to ding your credit. Okay? But that's a cheap way to bypass the system. Just apply for something and ask what your score was. And if they deny you credit, here's the better part. If they deny you credit, not only can you tell them what the score is, you can ask them to give a copy of your credit report. Even though it's free, they have to provide you a copy of your credit report if they deny your credit. Everybody has to do that. It's a law. If anybody denies you credit, has to provide you a reason why and the credit report. So just FYI. It's another free way to get it, but anyway. So again, how to build good credit history. No quick fixes. You pay your bills on time. Don't max out your credit cards. There's a formula that uses the credit limit. I've never maxed out my credit card. But even though the credit company, as I get closer, every year they're like, oh, he's getting closer to his limit. Let's increase his limit, see if he spend more. So your limits keep increasing the more you spend, but don't max it out. Don't go to the top and say, okay, I have a $20,000 credit limit. I'm going to buy something, a car or whatever on credit, put it on my credit card and max it out. That dings your credit also. If you get a credit card, only charge a small amount. Like I said, pay it off every month. That starts repairing your own credit. Don't apply for a credit card or for new credit unless you need it. This is after your credit's damaged, okay? If you don't have damaged credit, like I said, doing the thing with the car dealer, you're going to be okay. But if you have damaged credit and you do that, you're going to damage it even more by asking for new credit, okay? And then avoid opening several new accounts within a short period of time. Don't say, you know what, Christmas is coming, I'm going to go to Macy's, I'm going to go to Penny's, I'm going to go to Target, I'm going to go to Walmart, I'm going to go open all these credit cards at these places so I can buy my Christmas gifts. You do that and they're going to say, problem, okay? Your credit score is going to get hit, all right? Protecting your identity, like I said, credit card report at least once a year. Shred all financial documents and paperwork with personal information. Do not carry your Social Security card, although you'll need your Social Security card and carry it with you when you go apply for a job. Okay, don't put your personal information out over the phone. Protect your PIN numbers and passwords. Again, kind of common sense things. Don't broadcast. Don't share any of that information with anybody. Keep personal information in a secure place at home. If you want to invest in a safe, although if it's not a big enough safe, they come rob you, they're just going to safe up and take it out of the house. So what good is a safe going to do you, right? Unless it's hidden somewhere. So don't disclose personal information on social networks and Twitter and Facebook. Be on the lookout for warning signs like unexpected cards or statements. Or calls, hey, you applied for credit. No, I didn't. Get the information from them, okay? Try to get as much information from the person calling you. Don't ever give out information to a bank online or to somebody that calls you. Somebody calls you and says, hey, this is Citibank. I noticed you have an account with us. Something happened. I need your personal identification information. I need your social security number. I need this, I need that. Anybody see the movie Identity Thief? Okay, when the lady calls the guy and says, hey, this is so-and-so, I need this information, he got scared to death and gave it to her. Are you kidding me? That's what caused this whole problem. If he would have never given any information, he'd have been fine. He would have just said, sorry, lady, but then the movie would have been over, so they wouldn't have been able to make it. All right, so don't do things like that. Don't ever give your information out. Okay, be smart about student loans. Again, don't take more loans than you need. Okay, if you need a loan to live on while you're going to school, that's fine. But don't take $20,000 if you can get by with 15, or don't take 15 if you get by with 10. If you do your budget and you have these expenditures lined out and you know what's going to cost you for your education and what your expenditures are, take the minimum so you break even. Okay? I wouldn't say get a loan and pay 5, 10%, 7, 8, 9, 10%, whatever it is with the student loans, and then collect 1% in the bank. Say, oh, I'm going to borrow that money and put it in the savings. No, that's not going to happen. You're not going to earn anything. You're going to end up paying more. So take what you need, only what you need. I'm not going to go through the whole slide. Importance of savings. Again, life happens. Start an emergency fund and calculate that based on 3 to 6 months of your expenses. So you do your budget for the year and you say, okay, for the whole year, my expenses are $5,000. Half of that is $2,500. If I can save enough money to build up a reserve of $2,500, I can live on that for 6 months if something happens and I run out of money. Okay, so that's what it means by an emergency fund. And you start small, $10 a week, $5 a week. Believe it or not, it adds up. Okay, I would give you a slide about compounding interest and how that works, but with interest rates at less than 1% in a savings, it's not worth your time or my time to even talk to you about it. But it does add up when you think about it over the long run. And before you know it, after a year's over, you're done with a year of school, hey, I got $600 in my savings account. I never had that in my whole life at one time. It's there, it's yours. Okay. Think about retirement early on, okay? I've been in presentations and been in your shoes on that end, and I always said, I got plenty of time before I retire. You know, 22 years old, I'm not retiring until I'm 65, okay? I'm gonna retire at 40. I never planned for it. I have savings, I have investments, I have other things, but it creeps up on you. Believe it or not, it takes a long time to get to 16 to drive. It takes even longer to get to 21 to legally drink, okay? I forgot 18. 18 takes a while to vote. Then it takes a long time to get to 21 to drink. And then after that, believe me, they fly by. I'm 53 now, okay, 53 years old. They flew by. I don't remember the last 20 years. Where'd they go? Remember that, okay? They fly by. So plan early. Start putting money away. Set up an IRA. Talk to a financial counselor. And we got some contacts information on here you can look at. Save early. And the more you save early on, the better off you are. I don't think I have a slide on here, but you start putting away money today for 40 years. If somebody puts twice as much away 20 years from now, they won't catch you. Okay? And that's to do with compounding interest. So just be careful and start saving early. And remember, let's review yours. Savings for your goals, okay?